Hey guys, and welcome back to Morgs Menu. So I have a series that I've been doing recently where I try the recipes on the back of packaging or the labels on the back of packaging to see if they're ever actually good or if they're just trying to promote those products and they're actually not something that you'd want to try. So today I have this big bag of gluten-free King Arthur flour that I got that I've made my gluten-free cinnamon rolls with, which I have a video on my channel with my sister on. But on the back it has 3 different recipes here kind of using this flour. So today we're going to try the Deep Dark Fudgy Brownies. So they'll be gluten-free brownies and we'll see if they actually hold together, 1, because I find that to be a big problem with gluten-free anything, and 2, if they actually taste good. Alright, so these brownies I think look fairly normal as far as the ingredients for a homemade brownie, but they're obviously going to be gluten-free. But making homemade brownies is not something I do often. If you're familiar with my channel, you know I typically just use box stuff to make baking things because I don't like having to measure everything super specifically. I like to just kind of do the cooking side of things and not baking, but we're going to try this out. So I'm going to follow it exactly as it says and kind of just do exactly as it says to see if the actual directions on here are also good to go along with the ingredients. So I'll first go through the ingredients that it says we'll need, and then I'll show you step by step kind of how it says to make these as far as the directions. So obviously we're going to need just this regular old gluten-free flour. It's a measure for measure flour, so basically it's saying that it kind of measures the same as a normal flour would as far as the gluten-free flour, because sometimes the ratios of that are different. For certain other like almond flours and things like that, sometimes it fluctuates, but this is a measure for measure one. And just for reference, it's non-dairy and gluten-free. It also says you're going to need some cocoa as well as some granulated sugar, salt and baking powder. We'll need some eggs, and it calls for vegetable oil, but I always sub out avocado oil because we always have that and never have vegetable oil. We'll also need 2 tablespoons of water, and then it says optional, you can add in some chocolate chips. I have these chocolate chunks we're going to add in, and then you could also add in some walnuts or pecans or some sort of nuts if you wanted it, but we're just going to do chocolate brownies. So just on the back here, it says it has 5 different steps. Basically, it yields 16 brownies, and then it has a couple little tips on here for the certain kind of pans and stuff you're using. So for step number 1, we're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and lightly grease an 8-inch or 9-inch square pan. I have an 8-inch, but it also says, and for one of the tips, if you're using a glass pan, which I am, you want to reduce the baking temperature to 325. So we'll actually do 325. Next, it looks like we're whisking together our dry ingredients. So we'll whisk together 2/3 cup of our cocoa, 1 3/4 cups of our sugar, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 cup of the flour, and then I'm going to add in the 1 cup of chocolate chips. We're just going to whisk that together, and then we're going to add in our wet ingredients. So it says just to stir in 3 eggs, 1/2 cup of your whatever oil you're using, and 2 tablespoons of water, and it just says to mix until evenly blended. We're then going to just spoon that into our lightly greased pan, making sure everything's smooth on the top. And then it says to bake the brownies for 45 minutes for an 8-inch pan or 35 minutes for the 9-inch pan. So since we have 8 inches, we'll do 45, but we'll go ahead and set our timer for 35 to 40 minutes because it does say to change that for using the glass pan. It says you can check it by sticking a toothpick in and making sure that the center comes out with just a few moist crumbs. So once it gets like that, we'll go ahead and take that out. And then it wants you to cool it on a cooling rack for an hour before slicing. So as you can see as I'm testing it here, it ended up taking closer to like 50 minutes for this to cook all the way through. It was definitely not done at the 40 minutes, so you probably don't have to change your pan if you're using a glass pan, at least for my oven. So just kind of test it out, but it ended up taking 50 minutes in my oven at 325. But let me tell you, once we actually cut into these were phenomenal. Hands down the best brownies I've ever made, homemade or boxed. These were fantastic. I didn't get a chance to show a taste test because we actually took these to Mitch's family's house and we just ended up trying them there, but I cut a big piece out, which I'll show here. And these seriously were so great. You would have never in a million years known that these are gluten-free. And even if you had removed out the extra chocolate chips I put in, they're dairy-free. They're obviously not vegan because of the egg, but they're dairy-free and gluten-free, and seriously the best brownies I've ever made. I would highly recommend using this recipe, especially if you need gluten-free, but I think if you didn't and you just wanted to use regular flour, this is seriously the best brownie recipe I've ever made. 10 out of 10. Definitely the best package recipe I've tried, best brownie recipes I've tried. I can't recommend this enough. So if you have any questions on anything I did, feel free to leave those in comments down below, or if you have a recommendation of a package recipe I should try, put that down below as well. If you're new to my channel, make sure you follow me on TikTok and Instagram for content throughout the week, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the videos that I post on Wednesdays and Sundays. Thanks again for watching Morgs Menu, and I hope you have a great day. Bye guys.